I'm going to make a few bows for you so that you'll know, you'll get kind of a refresher course, and you'll know how to make them when you start decorating. So, the first bow I want to make is out of red velvet. Most people really like the red velvet. This one has kind of a plastic backing on it, and that's good because it'll hold up good outside. But as you can see, it's got the gold edge, so it's got a wired edge. I do not buy ribbon anymore unless it has wire in it. And I don't want you to either. It's just too hard to make a bow, and it's too hard to learn. So I'm going to unroll my ribbon and let it pile up on the floor like I always do. It's just easier for me. And I'm going to start, I've got little marks on my counter that I've made with a saw. You can use a yardstick, or you can just kind of hold it out and see about how long you want your streamers. Because I'm going to start with my first streamer that's about 36 inches long. Now, I know you've watched my videos before, or if you haven't, first thing I do is pinch it together. I leave this long streamer hanging toward me. Well, getting all tangled up here. I take the loop away from my body and bring it back up underneath and scrunch it together. And I just run my hand through it as I go. Now I've pinched it. Now I'm going to twist it, raise my finger up and hold it where I twisted it. I'm going to make another loop exactly like that one, bring it toward my body and up underneath, and I scrunch it together. Now I make my bows in layers. The first layer is a bow tie. Got the first streamer and 2 loops, just alike. Now my second layer is going to be an X, where I'll have a loop coming off one side and then the other, and then the other side and the other down here. So I've already got it pinched together. I'm going to twist it again, take it away from my body, scrunch it up with my fingers. Now every layer that I go back, I add about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to the length of my loops. So it'll get bigger as I go. So that's the first loop of my X. I'm twisting it, bringing it back toward my body, making the second loop of my X. It's exactly the same length as this loop was. Now when I'm twisting it, I'm going to twist it so that it comes out in this direction this time. So I'm twisting it, going over to the left side. This is going to be the exact same length as the other 2 loops I just made. There's the third loop of the X. I'm going to twist it again and make the 4th loop of my X. Now if I hold it up, you should be able to see the bow tie right in the middle, then the 4 loops of the X. Now as I keep going, I'm going to do the same thing over and over and over till I'm ready to stop. The next layer will be another bow tie. The next layer after that is another X, and then another bow tie. I came up with that method years ago when I was teaching classes in my downtown shop, and ladies had a hard time figuring out where to put their loops. So doing it this way, your bow is shaped as you go. You don't have to do a whole lot of pulling and twisting when you're through. So now I'm going to make another bow tie. I'm going straight out the middle, and notice it's sticking up a little further than the loops of the X. Now I've already scrunched it with my fingers. I'm going to twist it and bring it back toward me again and back up underneath. and I'm going to make another X. So I'm going to twist that, make the first loop of my X, scrunch it together and twist it, make the second loop of my X, and I'm scrunching it and twisting it. Now I'm going to come down over on the left side now. I want it to point in the other direction. That's the third loop of the X. I'm going to twist it again. Notice I always raise this finger right here every time I do that, so it will hold. I can hold it together. Now when you first start making bows, your hand is going to cramp no matter what you do, because mine does, and it'll do it right here. If you have to, sometimes just move it to your other hand, hold it in that hand a minute, and then move it back, but always keep a tight grip on this. You don't ever want to let go. Now I'm going to go down the middle again with another bow tie, right down the middle, a little bit longer than that last X. I'm still scrunching it and twisting it, and this is the second loop in the bow tie. Now this is going to be a really big bow. I like big bows because I like big wreaths. Now I'm not going to stop. It's time to stop, but I'm not going to stop with loops on both sides. I want something coming out the top. So I'm going to show you from the back of the bow how I do that. It'll be easier for you to see what I'm doing. I bring this loop and stick it straight up in the air. Now I don't twist it that way, and I don't twist it this way. The raw side of the bow is facing my body, and I grab it with my hand and hold it up in the air. So I didn't have enough unrolled, did I? So when I'm through, that's going to be the second loop, the second streamer. This was the top one that we just made. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off. Now we tie all of our bows with pipe cleaners. It's much easier on your hands. I just bend it and I thread it through my fingers. Notice I do not let go of my bow. And I'm going to pull it very tightly, and I hold it with my thumb and my forefinger, and I push against it and twist and pull as tightly as I can. That is the secret to making a really good bow, because when you start working with it, you don't want any of your loops to move. Now, before I do anything to it at all, you can tell that the bow is shaped. I just want to pull some loops down just a little bit. Some of the loops that are in the X, I'm going to pull that one down, pull this one down. Now there's still my top loop, still up there. And whoops, something fell behind me. Probably some of the ribbon I have stacked up everywhere. Now I reach inside each loop and I kind of run my fingers along the inside. Sometimes you can just put your whole hand in it, in your loop, to make it look fuller, fluff it out a little bit. Now, since these are all wired edges, if one is kind of bent in, just run your hand along the wired edge up from the inside. Okay. Now my second streamer is twisted a little bit so that you see the back of it. So I'm going to turn it. I'm twisting it some from the back. I'm twisting it tightly enough that it'll hang straight. Then I run my fingers down the edge, since it's a wired edge. And notice it kind of makes it curl. And I'm going to do my fingers down the other edge of my first one, my first streamer, and it has curled. Now, that is a beautiful big red bow. You can put it on a lamppost, you can put some fresh greens with it, you can get some pine from outside, put a piece of pine sticking up in the air and have some coming out the bottom, and then tie this right in the middle. You can put it on a wreath. This one's already been done, but you could put it at the top of your wreath. You could put it over to the side. Some people like them hanging out the bottom of the wreath. And you can actually add more streamers if you like streamers, because I like a lot of those too. If I was going to add more streamers to a bow this big, I would go ahead and have them cut before I started. And go ahead and mark the center of, I cut one really long piece that would be 2 streamers. Measure it, tie it in the center with your pipe cleaner. So then when you're through, you can just tie it onto the back and you'll have 4 streamers hanging out the bottom. Okay, I'm going to lay this one aside and I'm going to make a smaller one out of a different type of ribbon. Now, I know a lot of you don't need bows quite that big, because you're going to be putting bows everywhere when you learn how to make them. Let's see. I'm going to make one. This is actually Deco mesh, but it's not the wide Deco mesh. This one's about 2.5 inches wide. And I bought this from my secret vendor location. That's in my secret vendor book. It comes in the wider. I believe this one was 5 inches. Now, I'm going to make this a smaller bow, so I'm going to make my streamer shorter, and I'm not going to put as many loops. Now, when you're making a Deco mesh bow, it's thicker material and it's a little bit harder to scrunch together, but you can do it. And see, I'm making my first loop smaller too. I'm pinching it and twisting it. I'm going to bring it back toward my body for the second loop. There's my bow tie again. I'm going to make the second layer, which is the X. Now I'm going a little bit faster now so we can give you a lot of ideas all in one video, but it's all the same process. You do the bow tie and then the 4 loops of the X and then the bow tie again. Sometimes you can stop after the bow tie and the 4 loops, which is probably what I'm going to do on this one, because I'll show you how to make a smaller bow. Okay, I've got the 2 loops in the middle and the 4 loops of my X. Now I'm going to twist it. This is kind of sticky. It grabs your clothes. If you'll notice, I'm having a problem with it. That's why. I'm going to do, I always end my bows with a loop coming out the top. And I'm going to tie it with my pipe cleaner, threading it through my fingers. Notice I'm still not letting go. I'm going to pull it very tightly again. Now, since this is Deco mesh, I'm going to have to kind of work with it. Pull it just a little bit more. Notice the first streamer, I had just pulled it straight down so it'll come down in the direction I want it to without sticking out too much. But I've got it tied really tightly, so when I do, I can pull on it all I want to, and it is not going to come loose. Okay, and I'm going to cut the streamer for that one. Now, if you have side lights on either side of your front door, where you need just a little something to hang up underneath it, or if you've got a smaller wreath, smaller lamp post, or if you need a smaller bow on your mailbox, you can do less loops, because this is only 3 loops on each side and 1 on the top, so this is a 7-loop bow. Okay, I'll lay that one right there. And we're going to make another one. This is my favorite ribbon. I think I'll make another bow out of this just because I like the way it feels. And it curls so easily. This one's, I actually bought this from my favorite secret vendor location also, but they don't have any more of it this year. Now I'm just going to make a normal size bow. I'm not going to make a huge one like the red one or a smaller one like the Deco mesh. But I still like longer streamers, so I'm going to make my streamer about this long, which is about 30 inches. I'm pinching it together, taking it away from my body and pinching it. And twist it and take it toward my body and pinch it. I don't know if you can tell or not, but this ribbon, they're all different textures. Some are harder, some are easier. This one is a very, very easy one to make a bow with. Now I'm pinching it, and I'm going to go to the right for the first loop of the X. I'm going to twist it and go back down to the bottom left for the second loop. And go to the left top for the third loop of the X. And there's the fourth loop. Just remember, always start with your layers. First layer the bow tie, the second layer the X. Always work away from your body. Always try to remember that. I'm going to add a couple more loops to this one. I'm going to make another bow tie that comes straight out the center. Each loop is getting a little bit longer with each layer. I'm pinching it and twisting it again. My husband is filming for me today. He's off today. He was in the kitchen doing something, probably cleaning up for me while I was working on the newsletter. And I said, I need to film a video. Will you do it? And he said, sure. So he's out here filming the video. All right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on each side. We've got 8 loops. That's probably going to be enough for this bow. So I'm going to make my loop that sticks out the very top again, and it'll come out the opposite side of my first streamer. So my first streamer comes out the right side facing it. The streamer from this top loop will come out the left side. Now my hand's starting to cramp, and I make bows a lot. If yours does, don't worry about it. Your hands will get stronger as you do this. And I'm twisting very tightly again. And I'm going to cut the streamer. Now, I always cut the ends of my streamers in a V. I'm not taking the time to do that today. I'm just wanting to show you how to make some bows out of different types of material and different sizes. Now, can you see why I love this ribbon so much? It just kind of it just stands up there and holds its shape and is absolutely beautiful, and it just kind of curls on its own. I can run my finger down it to make it curl a little bit more. This is a beautiful, beautiful bow. Now, I think I've got time to make one more small one, but I want you to know that you can do this. I know for a fact that you can do it. I guarantee you can do it. So don't look at this and say, oh, I can't do that. Because you can. Okay, we're going to use this really cute narrow ribbon. It's called a number 9 ribbon. See, I'm just going to pile bows up everywhere. Now, I actually use some of this narrow ribbon even on my big wreaths. You just put more loops. And this one's pretty easy to make a bow with too. You can kind of tell when you first get your hands on it. When I'm shopping, when I'm buying ribbon, I always, they're wrapped in this cellophane. I always kind of slide it to the side, pull out a little piece. I'm going to do this about 30 inches too, because I have to feel it. I have to get my hands on it to know if it's going to make a good bow or not. Now, you might want, if you've never made a bow before, you might want to start with this number 9 ribbon. This one's, this is probably 1.5 inches. So see, I'm starting with smaller loops in the middle because this is a thinner ribbon. But as I go backwards, I can still get longer and longer loops. I did the bow tie very quickly. Now I'm going to do the X. Now, you'll get to where you can scrunch it and twist it, pull it out, and back up underneath and grab it. You'll get to where sometimes I can just stand here and look out these big double windows over here at the birds and the squirrels and really not even look at what I'm doing. And you can do that too. Just take some practice. Now I'm making the 3rd layer, which is another bow tie. Now I want you to see that I could stop. I'm going to hold this up, hold the top loop up just for you to see. I can stop right here if I want this size bow. But I'm not going to stop just yet. I'm going to do another X. And when you're making toppers for trees, you do it the exact same way. You just make more layers and you keep working away from yourself and your layers keep getting longer, your loops get longer. Okay, now this has 4 layers. The bow tie and an X, and then another bow tie and an X. Now I'm going to come straight up. This is my top loop that I end with. Come straight up. I'm going to twist it a little bit so it'll go down the right direction. And I'm going to tie it. Pull it very tightly. Now this roll, I only paid $7 for it. It's got 50 yards of ribbon on it. That will make a lot of bows because I probably used 6 or 8 yards on this one. I used to measure exactly. I don't measure anymore. Now I'm going to, when I always pull the first streamer down, straight down. Then I pull the loops of my X up and down. That makes it look a little fuller. Now I'm not having to work with these bows a lot. After you get them in your wreath, if you see a loop is not right where you would like it to be, you can move it around and you can actually bend the little wired ties, green ties of your Christmas wreaths around your loop to hold it exactly where you want it to stay. And I'll curl these with my, running them down through my fingers. Now we've got another beautiful bow, and in no time we have made a great big red bow for a big wreath or to go outside wherever you would like a big one. We've made this full, a little bit bigger candy cane stripe bow, but it's out of the more narrow ribbon. We made my personal favorite, the gold with the red and green stripes. And this ribbon has such good texture, it doesn't really need a lot of loops because these loops stand up a lot better all by themselves if you don't put too many loops in that one. And we have our Deco mesh bow. Okay, my hand is hurting. That's enough for today. I want you to go and find some ribbon. There's all kinds, all colors available. This is sheer. The sheer is thinner. It's easier to hold. Go and find you some ribbon today. If you want to buy a cheaper roll to begin with, do that. Make sure it's wired though. And start practicing. And if it doesn't look right to begin with, you can untie it and do it again. You use the same ribbon over and over and practice. And I bet you by this weekend, you're going to have ribbons on your wreaths on your doors. You're going to have them on the tops of your Christmas trees. You're going to have them on your garlands. You're going to have them on your rails, your porch rails, the rails going down your stairways. I hope this has helped. I love showing you how to make bows and wreaths or anything floral because that's what I love. I have really enjoyed getting to come into your house again today and to have fun making bows with you. I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving and a happy Christmas. Goodbye.